I'm Allison Ziggy, and you are joining me for this week's episode of Princess Uninterrupted, the podcast. Whether you're tuning in via audio or on YouTube with me, I'm so happy you're here. We hit more subscribers in YouTube in like a week than it took me 5 years to hit. I'm not even exaggerating when I say this. When I started 2025, I had 44 subscribers. And now we have, at the time of this recording, 132. I'm really grateful for each and every single one of you. And I bring this up to basically talk about if you want to see different results this year, you're going to have to take different actions. And this doesn't mean doing more. Last year, I felt like I was in a big hole. I had just left my life in New York City and I felt like I had to figure it out or else. I was so scared about the way that things were going to unfold and really prohibited a lot of innovation. I started creating content on dating coaching, which by the numbers did really well, but it just felt like I was posting for validation that I was going to be able to create the kind of life that I wanted. I was waking up every morning first thing and looking at the numbers and scrolling to see how my accounts had grown, and even they would grow minimally. I did have one post that went viral. But I just was like constantly on the hunt for this external validation that things were going to change. This really burned me out because it was this model of clawing the way out of the life that I didn't want and directly into the life that I wanted. But the thing was, I was showing up in the same ways and getting more of the same results. I had no problem with consistency. And if you're listening to this episode this week, the main thing that I want you to take away, if you are currently experiencing this, if you're in a building season, if you're looking to grow and you feel like things haven't been going the way that you want them to, if it feels like you've been trying for a really long time, if you feel like you're operating from this belief that it's not working, likely it's not that all of it isn't working, it just needs to tweak. The second thing is when your identity is wrapped up in whether or not it's working, you're going to take results personally. So when things are going well, you're going to feel great. When things aren't going well and you're not receiving that external validation, you're going to feel down. You create a post of content that does really well, it's going to trigger your nervous system into this response of feeling like you're good and worthy and can do anything you want. And if you post something and it flops and it doesn't go anywhere, you're going to be like, okay, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe I should go back to my desk job that I wished away, even though I know that's not what I want to do, but this isn't going to work. And it creates this spiral where you're really at the effect of your life, where you're really living from this place of responding to your circumstances and using that as feedback for how you should be viewing yourself and how you should be viewing the way that you show up to your purpose, the way that you show up in any context, really. The way that you get off this roller coaster is by becoming your own authority and really owning your desires. Going into this year, the first thing that you really want to do is create a vision and think about the things that you actually want to accomplish that are really important to you. For me, the biggest challenge I face as an entrepreneur is faith, not because I don't believe that I actually can, but just in those moments of doubt, like you really need to be very resilient. You really need to be adaptable, and you really need to be able to take constructive feedback in a way that's going to help you build and grow. This is something that I wasn't previously really prioritizing. I was simply taking actions and being like, okay, where are the clients? Like I'm taking the actions, like where's my reward? But that's not how it works. If you're taking the same actions at the same level of consciousness, you're going to continue to garner more of those results. If you're not seeing the results that you want, you need to take a different approach. And this leads me to the second thing about whatever you're looking to get better at this year. Whether it's a hobby, whether it's a business pursuit, whether it's just an expression of self and connecting to yourself, spirituality, intuition, any of these things, you need to study it in order to actually get better. You can't listen to the same echo chambers of people saying the same things and expect to get different. And you can't even expect, if you're creating like I was when I was creating on YouTube, I wasn't not posting videos in those 5 years. In fact, in 2024, I started this podcast and started posting videos regularly every single week without fail. I would just show up, talk about the topics, and it grew at a snail's pace. And so it created this belief that it wasn't even worth my time to focus on it. What shifted was that I finally came to the conclusion that this dream was never going to go away and I wasn't going to stop. I reached what's called the point of no return, where I decided that this was going to work and I wasn't going to outsource that authority to tell me otherwise. I made the decision in my mind, this is going to work. I am committed to this path. This is what I want. Let's go for it. In that, I opened myself up to receive more information that actually supported what I was looking to create. So instead of just assuming that I didn't know or that I was bad at content or I couldn't create this, I started to research based on the platforms that I was looking to grow. I started to, in the background of my life, and even when I was seeking out educational content, seek out masterclasses that gave information on audience growth. And I also started to reach out to YouTube experts and see what they said about what it took to grow on the platform. This is why this is the first time I'm recording using the back of my phone camera versus the Zoom camera that was always like kind of a pixelated quality. I noticed the camera quality has an impact on whether or not people are going to see your videos. I also just started to just try to get better. The other thing that I noticed that I'll share if anybody's creating content, the thing that really resonates when you're creating content is like when you create content that is associated with an emotion. Not that you're intentionally trying to invoke an emotion in someone else. This is like rage bait and people definitely capitalize on this. But when you create from an emotion, like if you feel an emotional charge to something and you create based on that, it's going to have a deeper resonance with the audience that you're creating for because you're communicating, it's a higher frequency. It's a more potent energy whenever you're working with the energy of emotion. I made a reel this week and it was in response to something that I had personally viewed as one of the reasons I was also unable to grow. This was the fear of haters and fear of what people would say and fear of, honestly, the way that the life coaching industry is perceived as a whole. Here's what happened. I saw that one of my favorite online educators had been kind of taken down. She's on a reality TV show. It's Amanda Francis. She's on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And I noticed just the comments of the common people who were commenting this, and they were saying like pyramid scheme, scam, MLM. I could feel this sensation in my back is the only way that I can describe it. Where like I could feel the energy of this. When I'm having these moments where I'm questioning my authority, I'm questioning my path, I'm questioning what I should be doing, I really take a step back and I start to be like, is this true? Am I being duped? Am I being scammed by believing that I can create a better life? Like, whose voices do you want to listen to? And I created a different response to that emotion than I would have previously experienced. In the past, I would have gone to a friend and I would have said like, help me soothe this and basically help me make sense of these emotions. But I felt so deeply in my core that there was a deeper message here. And I filmed a video just commenting on it because it felt like those comments were preventing people from showing up, from believing that they can do it, from being scared to be perceived a certain way, not wanting to be seen as somebody like that. I really want to create a business I feel proud of and I feel respected for having created, but I need to give that to myself. And yesterday when I made that video, it went viral for me for sure. It's one of the most viral pieces of content I've made definitely in 2026, but recently, like top 5 pieces this past year. And I felt proud of myself for creating it because of the way that I was able to break the pattern, but because I was able to offer a different perspective. And the comments on that video were so much more encouraging than the ones that I had originally made. And it really, like in real time, rewired my brain around how I perceived this. There's always going to be people who don't understand what you're doing, but there's equal or more people who will and who actually need your words, need your work, need what you feel called to bring into this space. You aren't here for everyone, and if you're trying to make everyone happy, you're going to make an impact on no one because you won't be able to reach the people who need you because you won't have the volume. You'll just kind of be in the middle saying nothing really at all, nothing polarizing. It's not about intentionally going out there to make people upset, but understanding that those are the moments, those takes that you have. I've heard it like hot take content, but it's not manufactured. Make it authentic and make it fit in with your voice. Amanda, I had actually purchased her work and been following her long enough to make it a statement, actually felt authentic and true and felt like I really could put my energy behind and that I really could firmly stand behind and that I actually could do. It was interesting where I have this dream of creating this business, online coaching, creating courses to help people, help them maximize their time, help them to uncover their purpose, help them to connect to their intuitions. But listening then to all the people who say these online course creators are scammers, MLM, pyramid scheme, I just kind of faced it head on, and through speaking my voice and sharing my perspective and viewing it as just as valuable as the people who had negative things to say, it created a viral moment and it created an opportunity to interact with someone who had such a powerful influence on my life and my career, my relationship to money. So it just felt really important to bring that up and share that because a year ago, I never would have been able to deliver that message. Even if I was studying content growth. I would have heard you need a hot take, and I would have just probably workshopped something with ChatGPT and it would have fallen flat. These original ideas that can only flow through you. You're the messenger of the idea, and it's yours because of your unique background, your unique experiences, what you've been through. My dreams haven't necessarily changed from last year. My vision is still pointed in the same direction, but I think that I've become more focused in how I want to get there. And I caveat the how, because with manifestation, the how is never your job. But it is your responsibility to get better at the avenues that you are using. So having an online business this year, it's become more of a priority for me to learn how to maximize growth, how to actually get in front of more people. If you're talking to the same 1,000 people who you've had on your Instagram for the last 3 years and it's growing by 100 people a year, you're not reaching the full potential of who you could be communicating with. And it's your responsibility, if you do have a mission and you're here to make a difference and you're here to live expressive and bold, to actually learn how you can push your edge and get better. For me, this started with making an investment at the beginning of the year that was really on my edge. I'm not necessarily talking about my edge financially, but yes, it was. It was the first big investment I had made in a long time. Big for me. I've made bigger investments in the past, but I made this investment because I was just like, I'm unwilling to continue to repeat the same patterns that I started last year with. And I looked at what the investment was, and it was this 40-day program where you do something every day for 40 days. And I was like, oh, well, I could do it on my own. Like I could just do and I'm like, well, if you know you want to do it, this is going to be the path and the way. And I was also thinking about my responsibility as a leader, a coach, somebody who does provide services online. And I'm like, there are probably people who say similar things when I position offers. And if I am a leader, I need to actually follow what I'm teaching and coaching and helping people with. And I felt a draw to this, and it's opened my world up in so many ways. It's forced me to show up every single day in a way that I haven't before. Even when I was showing up and maybe putting in more effort, like more physical force towards the direction of what I wanted, this is so much easier, but it's such a bigger splash. It's so much more impactful. I really think it speaks for itself that I grew more in less than a month than I had in 5 years. And yeah, we're talking about small numbers. It's easier to multiply small numbers. But once you learn the formula, there are no limits to what you're able to create. It's healing this visibility wound and letting it be safe to be seen, letting it feel safe to be seen. The nervous system regulation comes into play here because as you start to be perceived by more people, it can be interesting. As an empath, I can feel when there's more eyes on my work. And I remember this back from even when I was in college, when I would post on my Facebook status, and I knew it was something that was getting a lot of attention. I would feel the attention and I would find it really dysregulating. Not in a negative way, but I found that really interesting. A lot of the things that I had been manifesting were actually really dysregulating to my nervous system. And that was part of the reason why these things weren't coming in, was because it didn't feel safe. This awareness is what allows it to be okay, I can handle this. I'm willing to face this to create a bigger experience for myself. But that awareness is huge, because if you aren't honest with yourself about that, if you had 100,000 people look at what you're doing right now, would you feel dysregulated? You probably would. So you're looking at your dreams. Does that match what I'm looking for? If you had 10 clients who wanted to sign up right now, would that feel dysregulating to you? For me, I had to look at that within myself and then ask for the guidance. I had certain situations where people were asking me about my rates. They were asking to pay me, even though I had been manifesting new clients. I had been manifesting money. When it came knocking on my door, I noticed how I got awkward. I noticed how when somebody asked me flat out, what are your rates like? I started to kind of oh my gosh, how do I answer this? All these questions started to come up. And I realized in order to grow, you need to face this. And this is actually a really good thing. It sounds so silly to position this it felt like a problem, but it did. And I'm really sharing this because I wish I would have known this earlier. I wish that I felt the way that I feel right now a year ago. But I only got here through transmuting. Anyway, I wish I would have gotten here sooner. It's taken me a really long time to get here. And part of that was making the investment that I almost wasn't ready to make. That money, it felt okay, I can get there myself. If you could have got to know yourself, you would get there by now. So it really is a matter of investing in your skills, investing in your mindset, investing in your own personal development and coaching, and taking your dreams seriously, like investing in the dreams. If something's important to you, learning about it. And part of this is a financial investment if you have the means, and if you're really looking to do that, like you'll know when the opportunity is right for you. I am currently enrolling new clients, but part of it is also just an educational investment. And really, if you're looking to grow your business, reading business books. If you're looking to cultivate your spiritual gifts, like reading books on how to cultivate and how to get better at that, following people who inspire you. And we all have different pieces that we can learn from each other. Last year when I was doing dating coaching, like I was just researching dating and relationships, and it just felt like something that I was supposed to be doing. Whereas when I'm reading these business books now and reading books on how to be a better coach, and I'm taking in this content, it feels like what I'm supposed to be learning. Is the only way that I can put it. Is it's like, it feels like all those missing pieces are making their way into my life right now. And everything that I've been watching on marketing, I've been really loving learning about it. Whereas in the past, I would just bring up my business to somebody and we would get into the niche conversation and I would shut down because I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm not doing it right. So that's the one thing I want to leave you with too. If your nervous system is shutting down and being like, I'm not doing it right, I really want you to look into the trigger first and foremost. You can do this with a coach or on your own, but understand that anywhere where you have that feeling, there's an opportunity to show up better. It doesn't mean that you're innately bad. It doesn't mean that you're innately incapable. It doesn't mean that you're never going to be able to figure it out. It means that you can shortcut and streamline your way there by working with people who have already accomplished what you're looking to do. And it means that there's an opportunity for growth if you can change your energy around the situation. I was never studying content, not in the way that I am now, not like looking up the YouTube videos and understanding how creators grow. Like I said, I had never considered the back camera it's these little tweaks. Like that one change will have a bigger impact. It would have been the same exact message, the same exact content, probably a little bit different of a backdrop, which like those little changes in your reality actually are what add up to creating the life of your dreams. Like you already have everything that you need in order to succeed. And that's what's so interesting is it's like, okay, I looked at it and I heard that you need a better camera for YouTube. And so my first instinct is I need to go buy a $1,300 camera, where it's like, actually you could just use the one that you already have and just use the back of it. Like that's what most people do. And I was like, interesting. Do you know what I mean? Like it might not necessarily be like going out and changing everything. So the mindset's important, but so is the practical. And I think for a long time I've overlooked the masculine. I've focused so much on the manifestation aspect and figuring things out, or I've kind of been like, okay, well, if the manifestation isn't working in the business, it means I have to go back into corporate. Like it was like manifestation or fear-based lack thinking. And so realizing that there was this middle ground where it could be like, or there's a way to optimize what you're doing now and to get in front of more people and to actually make a bigger impact through learning more about what you need to do and how you need to show up and the way to do things, instead of shutting it out and being like, I'm doing everything wrong, because that's not true. So those beliefs, make sure you flag them when you have them, because they are opportunities to rewire things, and it's an opportunity to show up better to what's on your heart. And what's on your heart is on your heart because it is meant for you. Okay? So I'll leave you with that for this week's episode of Princess Uninterrupted. I love you. Let's see how this looks whenever we get it set up. I updated my private coaching application, so fill it out if you have an interest. And I'm also doing discovery calls. If you want to set up a call, get on my calendar. Would just love to chat, talk about what you're working through. I'm always open to new ideas for what you want to see content-wise as well. Thank you so much for joining me for this week's episode of Princess Uninterrupted.